billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I greet you, my brothers and sisters, with the noble and universal greeting of peace. The greeting that has been used by the prophets and messengers of our universal creator, Almighty Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We have the opportunity to remind, for reminding benefits the believers. That's what the Quran says. Keep reminding, for reminding benefits the believers. And so this series of lectures have been focused on being a believer. That we are here on the planet and that there is a purpose for us being here. And that is to go from denial of our Creator to the acknowledgement of our Creator, to the acceptance of a Creator, to the appreciation of a Creator. See? So we are here, and you can live as a person who is in denial of God, our universal Creator. Or you can live having ideas about God. This is called association, this is called taking partners, this is called idolatry, it's called many things. It's called shirk. Kufr is when you conceal or deny the truth. The kuffar, they don't want to accept the truth about God. They say there's no God, Their deniers conceal. Then there's the mushrik that associates partners. They have ideas of a God and they believe in the ideas of a God. A man is God, a woman is God, a thing is God, a thing we make with our hands is God. They have ideas about God, but they don't know God. They're not aware of God. They're not acknowledging God for God actually is. They're not experiencing God consciousness. And so you also have the third kind of person, and I've been all three at different points in my life, is the hypocrite. Those who say they believe in Allah in the last day, but they don't believe. They deceive themselves. They think they believe. The self-deceivers are the hypocrites. They may say there's no God but God, and they may say we are Muslims, but they are not believers. In their hearts is a disease, and that disease is expanded for them, and they are left to stray. And so this third category is included in the category of those who are unaware and non-experiencing of our universal Creator. And so they don't live, when we are in those three, we don't live as evolved human beings, aware human beings, experiencing human beings. We don't live at a higher level as a believer, a secure person. When we are before submission, we are insecure, we live threatened, feeling vulnerable, we feel alone, we think that something in the world can help us, or somebody in the world can help us. We focused into the world, we focused onto somebody and something in the world, and we are distracted by the world. And a believer is not distracted by the world. A believer is distracted from the world by Allah. A believer is distracted by Allah from the world, in a sense. That if you're a believer, one who is secure, you find that the world doesn't have the appeal that you thought it did. That means you don't live for this world alone. You don't live like being alive in this world is the most important thing. You won't live like you won't die when you're a believer. When you're a believer, you know you will transition. You will know there'll be a physical death. You know that you'll be raised up again. You know there's accountability. If you're a believer, you live having withdrawn your power projections. That means what you think has power from this world. The attributions of significance, what you think is special, who you think is special, and the exaggerations of importance, that you take things that are important but you exaggerate its importance. You get what I mean? So all three of these spiritually underdeveloped types, which I've been all three of them, they are insecure. And they do not really acknowledge the one power, the one universal power, the absolutely all-powerful. They have no clue of the power of God. And therefore, they do not experience trust in God. You get what I mean? They're not aware of the power of God. They're not aware of the privileging nature of our universal Creator, Almighty Allah. They are not aware of the provisioning nature. They're not aware of Allah, basically, and Allah's power and privileging and His provisioning for us, His providing for us, His sufficiency, His adequacy, His enoughness. They're not aware of Allah and the enoughness of Allah. Anybody who is really aware of Allah, as the Quran says, is aware that Allah is enough for us. Allah is sufficient. You don't need more than Allah. There is no more than Allah. There is only Allah who created. And there is Allah and His creation, but there's only Allah. His creation doesn't exist as a separate entity. Allah created this world apparent. Allah is the actual. The created is not another creator. There's only one creator. There'll always be one creator. And the Creator created. Creation is in no way comparable to the Creator. We are temporary. Allah is the permanent. We are in this life that is static. Allah is the dynamic. So, when people are spiritually underdeveloped, they remain insecure. And then that's when Satan has the better of them. When you feel threatened and you feel vulnerable, you worry, you're afraid, you live creating problems for yourself. You live from insecurity, for relief, safety and excitement. The things that you do to try and feel good. You do not from peace, not from salam. You know what I mean? The importance of experiencing salam, the way of salam. Jesus said shalom, peace be upon them, and our Prophet, peace be upon him, said salam. You know what I mean? That a true believer is a person of salam, peace. See, where there's peace, there can't be fear. Where there's peace, there can't be worry. Where there's peace, there is assurance, there is reassurance, there is insurance. See, where there is peace, there is the power, there is prosperity. Where there's peace, there's empowerment. The person who is at peace is the person who is empowered. You know what I mean? And a person who will receive Allah's good in this world and the world beyond, a person who will experience being prospered by Allah. So, all three of these underdeveloped types, they are, in an analogy, a caterpillar. And you can live and die as a caterpillar. Or you can live, submit to Allah, go through a spiritual development and experience, as the Quran says, verily in the hearts of the believers, of those who remember, the hearts of those who remember, verily in the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance. The hearts of the believers respond to Allah. The Quran says, let them respond. See, it's only somebody who is aware of Allah who can respond to Allah, who can relate to Allah. As a believer, we are aware of what we are, who we are, where we are, what's going on here, what's the purpose for being here. And we can live fulfilling our purpose for being here, and we can live with Iman, we can live with Amal, and we can live a life tayyibun, whether male or female. If you are a believer, if you are secure, if faith has entered into your heart, if you are on the path of moving forward spiritually, on the path of bringing to Allah a purified heart, if you are interested in how you feel, understand, the purified heart is a heart of security. It's the heart of assurance. It's the heart of peace. It's the part of reassurance. Allah says He will not change the condition of a people until they change what is in themselves, until they change what is in their hearts. You know what I mean? So every one of us, we have a state, a spiritual state, whether you believe it or not, whether you accept it or not. There is a state, a spiritual state that you are in. It can be a low spiritual state, it can be a high spiritual state, and it starts off generally as a low spiritual state until you submit. What this means is everybody has forgotten until you remember. The Quran says, remember Allah, return to Allah, turn your heart directed towards Allah. That means everybody is forgotten. Those who remember and return and turn, that's our purpose here, to awaken from the sleep, to move into the light from the darkness. Even the Quran, records that Allah says to the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, that did we not find you in the darkness and lead you out of the darkness into the light? Did we not guide you? That he was in the darkness, led out of the darkness into the light. All human beings are in the darkness. The Quran says that human beings, the people of Adam alayhi salam, when guidance comes to them, those who receive the guidance will no longer be insecure. They no longer will have a diseased heart. You see, those who remember Allah, Allah will remember them. They'll experience Allah's awareness of them. You get what I mean? When we presence Allah, when we become aware of Allah, we are aware that Allah has favored humanity, has given to humanity freely. The Quran says, we delivered you from your mother's wombs, gave you intellect, thinking, and affect, feeling. Gave you thinking and feeling. It doesn't just say thinking. Gave you thinking and feeling. Gave you hearing and sight. That you may be grateful. That you may be grateful. That Allah is saying to us, look and see, call upon me by any one of my beautiful names. Ar-Rahman, the merciful, the compassionate. You get what I mean? When we are living spiritually underdeveloped, we are not aware of Allah. We are not aware of Allah's relating to us. We are not responding. We are not recognizing that we had to do nothing to be and to continue to be. We do nothing to exist in this world through our death, and Allah gave us existence, got nothing to do with us. We can't earn our existence. We can't earn the favors of Allah, the hearing, the sight, the intellect, the effect. The Quran says we created you the best of people. The Quran says we created you in the best of molds, best of bodies, the forms. You get what I mean? That we are as human beings. The Quran says we have privileged you, given you beyond what we have given to other creation, preferred you, favored you. We didn't earn our existence, our experiencing as human beings, our favors of the body, the mind, the intellect, the affect. We didn't earn any of these things. It's given. You see, a person who is aware of Allah is aware of Allah's mercy and compassion and appreciates it, values it, and sees its importance. I can tell you as a believer, that's how believers are, because there was a time when I wasn't a believer, and there's a time that I am now a believer. Shukr to Allah who has guided me. Guidance came to me, and I received it. I surrendered the impure heart. I let go of insecurity. The Quran says, who are the friends of Allah? They do not grieve the future. They do not grieve the future, past. They do not grieve the past. They do not fear the future. They don't grieve. They don't fear. Get what I mean? They don't worry, and they're not scared. They don't panic. See, so when you live without having submitted, you're unaware of your Creator and His power, and you're unaware of Allah's privileging and what you have been provisioned with and provided with. You're unaware that Allah is the protector and progressor and prosperer. You're unaware. If you don't know, you don't know. And you hear me speaking about, Maulana Guru and Mufti Pandit, they're more interested in telling you about prayers and do your prayers. I'm not saying that there's no place for ritual, but ritual is to be informed by faith. If ritual is done without faith, it's purposeless. Faith. The Quran says Allah puts peace into the hearts of the believers as they are increased in faith. There's tranquility in the heart of a believer as the believer is increased in faith. So you must check, is there, when you remember Allah, is there security in you? Do you feel okay when you remember Allah? Are you really remembering Allah? Because in the remembrance of Allah, hearts experience assurance. You get what I mean? If you really believe in Allah, when you remember Allah, you will feel strengthened. You will feel not threatened, vulnerable. You will feel assured. If you know Allah and His power, the more I think of, am I aware of Allah and His power? I'm aware that Allah has power of all things, but I'm aware of how I've underestimated the power of Allah. Me. I don't want to live unaware of Allah, and I don't want to live underestimating the power of Allah. If I underestimate the power of Allah, to that degree my life will reflect my underestimation. The more I am aware that it is impossible for me to overestimate the power of Allah, the more I will experience that power in my life. The more I will experience miracles happening. You get what I mean? And the miracles have happened and they are happening and they will continue to happen for me. Because I'm aware that I'm unaware and I choose to become aware of my Creator. I choose to recognize that I can do nothing to be. I choose to be humble, that every moment of every day is because of Allah. Every moment of every day that I've lived as a human being is because of Allah. I can do nothing for me, nobody can do nothing for me, Maulana Guru can do nothing for me, Mufti Pandit can do nothing for me. What Allah alone has done, and what Allah continues to do for humanity, nobody will ever do it. Nobody can do it. My okayness is because of Allah alone. I am already a favored creation of Allah. I am in awe of Allah's power, revering the greatness. I am in acceptance and appreciation of Allah's graciousness and adoring His privileging of me. I appreciate and accept Allah's gifting nature and His gifts. I rejoice Allah's generous nature, His gracious nature, and I receive the gifts of Allah that I wasn't doing before. You get what I mean? So, it's about first realizing, am I in one of these three categories? And speaking the truth to yourself. Have I remembered Allah, or am I still in a state of forgetfulness? And you will be able to see from your own life. How's my thinking? How's my speaking? How's my feeling? How's my behaviors? Because I can tell you personally, when you're an insecure human being, you don't experience Allah's attending to you. You deny it. When you're an insecure human being, you don't accept Allah's doing for you, that what Allah has done is doing for you and will do for you, nobody can do for you. What Allah has done for others and is doing for others and can do for others and will do for others, if people will have faith and invoke Him, you'll deny it. You'll deny it. That Allah's doing, that with Him, our relationship with Him is first. We are to be centered in Allah, rather than living egocentrically or deity-centrically. This teaching is a call to all human beings to a universal way of submission before our universal Creator. This teaching is a call for human beings to humble themselves and recognize that they are ignorant, superstition and arrogant. This teaching has been around from the beginning of time, calling people to the remembrance of God, not in a religious way that most, tribal egos have done. This teaching is about going beyond separation between us and Allah, that there is only Allah. It's going beyond into Tawheed. What true Tawheed is, many people don't know. There is only Allah. Allah alone actually is alone worthy of worship. There is nothing and nobody. There is no deity. There's nothing. There's only Allah, who is the all-powerful, sufficient for us, who is the all-privileging, that He is the one that is enough for us, sufficient for us, adequate for us. His gifts are adequate. What He has given to us, what we already have now, is enough for us to be happy now. I'm happy that I'm alive in this moment, and that I've been alive in all the moments preceding it. I am grateful. I recognize it's only because of Allah, not even because of my parents. Humanity is because of Allah. Our parents are because of Allah. It's not because of any human being that human beings are. It's not because of any human being that the world is. I have lived and I continue to live by the grace of Allah, by the power of Allah, by the grace of Allah. I choose first to recognize I was asleep. I choose to awaken. I choose to recognize I wasn't remembering. I choose to remember. I choose to admit that I have been unaware of Allah, and I choose to be aware of Allah. I choose to admit that I haven't submitted. I choose to admit that even though I said I was a Muslim, do not say that you are a believer, for faith has not entered into your heart. Rather say that you are submissive in religion. Although I was submissive in religion, I thought I was a believer. I wasn't. This is the first thing that we got to recognize, that we haven't become aware of Allah as Allah alone really is, and there is nothing but Allah. We have ideas of Allah that keep us from experiencing Allah consciousness. Your ideas about something keep you from experiencing that something. Get what I mean? You can have ideas about what I'm saying, but you won't receive what I'm saying. If you think about me in some way that I am misleading the people or whatever it is, you won't experience what I'm saying. Your ideas of something can hold you back. You get what I mean? So people have ideas of Allah, but they have made ideas of Allah as a deity. You've taken deity. We speak the truth about Allah. We witness and we testify that only Allah actually really exists. Unique and supreme, the magnanimous, the immaculate, the one authority, the autonomous, beyond. There is only Allah beyond this world, because of whom this world is, because of whom we are and we continue to be. I am and I have been and I live and I will die and I will be raised up again only because of Allah. I've been created a human being because of Allah. Allah has given me reason, intellect and affect. I choose to use it. Allah has given me guidance. I choose to receive it. Allah is the encourager of humanity. I can see it. When I read the Quran in a language that I understand, I can see that Allah is the encourager of humanity. And I can see that Allah is not only the encourager of humanity, but the champion of humanity. I can tell you that Allah wants good for me in this world, in the world beyond. He created us human beings with His natural living in this world through death and beyond, the life tayyibun. I know Allah, I'm aware of Allah, and I'm aware of who He is to me. My Creator is, I'm aware. I'm aware that I have Him who is sufficient for me. I'm aware of His relating to me, championing me, His merciful nature. I'm interested in that. Before I was a believer, aware of Allah, I wasn't aware that I have Allah who alone is sufficient for me. I lived in fear, anxiety, worry. I bit my nails, I smoked cigarettes, I did drugs, When you are unaware of the power of Allah, you will project power into this world. You will think that if I smoke a cigarette, I'll feel better. You think if I eat food, I'll feel better. You think if I have money, I'll feel better. You feel if I sleep with somebody, I'll feel better. You think if I have more money, I'll feel better. You think if I steal more money, I'll feel better. You think if I hurt people, I'll feel better. If I put people in their place and harm them, I'll feel better. All sins comes from a person who doesn't feel peace. You know what I mean? All sins are because a person doesn't feel the peace of God. If you wake up in the morning and you wake all the way up and you experience peace, you submit. And during the day you submit and you experience peace. And when there's drama and trauma, you submit and you choose peace, no matter what. No matter what you see in you or in the world, or in your world, or in somebody else's world, or in somebody else. We choose peace. We choose to focus on Allah. We are, as believers, we are distracted by Allah's greatness and graciousness, His giving nature. No matter what's going on, say, sorry, I'm distracted by Allah and His power and His sufficiency. How He's enough for me and enough for you. And how that we and you, or me and you and we, can connect with Him and experience His favor. If you see somebody who's got problems and you be so worried about them, I find myself saying, hey, sorry about I'm distracted from your problems because I'm focused on Allah. I can't help it. And I'm aware that you're okay, I'm okay. That He has favored us. That our own difficulties are coming from our own hands, the Quran says. When something good happens to you, it's because you received the good of Allah. When something bad happens to you, it's your own hands that have created it. You get what I mean? So before, when I had problems, I'll get worried, I'll start looking for relief, safety and excitement, I'll eat food, I'll get angry, I'll feel threatened, I'll try and smoke a cigarette, whatever, because I felt insecure. When you feel insecure, you'll turn to somebody and something. You'll try and control somebody and something. You're not a friend of Allah, you'll feel grief, you'll feel worry. I know, because I'm talking personally. I know what I've lived, I know what I'm living now. I'm telling you that now I choose to be happily distracted, whether it's my problem or your problem or the world's problem. I'm distracted by Allah's greatness and graciousness, that we're still alive, the earth is still spinning, He gave us guidance, we got the Quran, we got the Prophet, we got Islam, we got guidance. The fact that people are not receiving guidance because we fail to remember Allah, the Quran tells us, yours will be a depressed life. The people will overpower you. Islamic teaching tells us that when the people are in error, the leaders are in error. You get it? Because the leaders come from the people. Islamic teaching tells us that the people, if the people are in error, their leaders will be in error. If society is not functioning healthily, you'll have leaders that support ill health. The Quran tells us that if we are not standing in truth and peace and are not being people of peace, empowerment and prosperity, if we don't recognize we have Allah to give us what we want, who has given us first, and who has given us and feel assured that we have Allah, the believers have Allah, the disbelievers have nobody. But those who say they believe but they don't believe, in their hearts is a disease, they're left to stray. They can't say it, we have Allah. And they can't feel the peace. They're worried. They're afraid. They see what's happening in the world. There are people, when there's no drama and trauma in the world, they don't champion peace. They don't champion empowerment. They don't champion prosperity. Another way of saying this is, they don't champion iman, amal, and a life tayyibun. They're not supporting spiritual development, psychological development, interpersonal development. They're not supporting humanity move forward. There are people. and they're only interested in their own selfish gain. I'm busy trying to survive. I'm busy trying to amass wealth. I'm busy. The world is carrying on. Nobody is supporting a better world for themselves and for others, generally. And so when problems happen in the world, now these people get up and they get very excited. Why is there problems in the world? There should be peace in the world. Because in the face of now problems, they get very worked up. You know what I mean? But when there's no problems, they're not supporting peace in them with fellow humanity. They're not supporting empowerment within them, iman, amal, a life tayyibun. They're not supporting prosperity in the world, consciousness. They're not supporting progress. They're not supporting improvement. They are people. They're not interested in iman, amal and a life tayyibun. And so the consequence of that is what? Is things getting worse. And when you experience the consequence of your choice, and then what happens? No, we're against this. What good is that if you're not for peace, iman? What good is that if you're not for amal, a life tayyibun? You get what I mean? So this is how the disbelievers are. They are superstitious, they're ignorant, they're arrogant. They don't want to admit that they are not Allah conscious. They don't want to become Allah consciousness. They don't want to have a relationship with Allah. Just this morning I was having a discussion with somebody, and I told him, you're free to do whatever you want to do. And he said, no, I'm not free to do whatever I want to do. The people I love the most is my children, he told me. I said, okay. That's it. The Quran talks about us loving Allah, right? We love Allah. Before my own self, I love Allah. Before my own mother, I love Allah. Before my own son, I love Allah. Before the people in my life, I love Allah. Allah is first. But here is a man who's going through difficulties, and he tells me he loves his children first. This has reminded me of Ibrahim alayhi salam, an attachment to his children. I said, okay. I said to him, after this I will not tell you anything anymore. You can do it. So you want to spend your life putting your children first. Who am I to stop you? I'm just sad that it doesn't end well for you in this world and the world beyond. I'm just sad. But there's nothing I can do. There's nothing I have to do. I'm still happy that Allah is with me and for me, that all I got to do is to bring to Allah a purified heart. Who am I to be judging other people how they should live? You can choose what you want. It means nothing to me. It's between you and your Creator. I can choose what I want. It means nothing to you. It's got to do between me and my Creator. But all I can tell you, if you don't admit that you are not aware of Allah, and if you are not interested in getting close to Allah, prostrate and draw closer to Allah. If you're not interested in walking towards Allah every day and experience Him running towards you, then yours is going to be a depressed life. You get what I mean? And I'm not counseling anybody anymore. After this morning, this was the last that I ever offered help to somebody who didn't ask, like, please guide me to see where I'm in error. Please guide me to draw closer to Allah. So all problems are the result of not drawing closer to Allah. And Allah is compassionate and merciful, that even though we didn't want to in the past, or we may not want to in this moment, but the moment you say, I want to draw closer to you, more than me, more than my children, not to say we're abandoning ourselves or our children, but before our children it's Allah, before our parents it's Allah, before our Prophet it's Allah, before everybody created it's Allah. Allah gave us the Prophet, Allah gave us our parents, Allah gave us our children, Allah gave us our loved ones. You get what I mean? We have to give to Allah our first attention. If you fail to give Allah your first attention, yours will be a depressed life. And you'll be trying to change you and trying to change other people. But your attitude has got to come right before you try and change you and anybody else. You've got to recognize I'm a sinner. I'm to deity. I'm not into Allah. I project power onto Allah. I'm not aware of Allah's power. I'm no different from the hypocrites. I'm no different from the mushrik. They perceive Allah as a deity to be pleased. You know, our forefathers did prayers, put food for God to eat, take out food, put food for God, this food is for you, God, for you to eat. This is deity. We want to make the gods happy, because the gods are unhappy, we must appease the gods. This is still very much in Islamism, this modified Hinduism from India. Still a lot of deity worship, God appeasement, projecting power onto God, rather than actually recognizing the power of God. Shukr to Allah who has given me this opportunity to share with you today, to remind you that all you got to start off by saying is, I am in error. You don't have to feel bad about being in error. You don't have to feel shame about being in error. You don't have to feel guilty. That's shaitan whispering. You have to feel happy that I have found the problem. I am diagnosed the problem. The problem here is that I haven't developed a relationship with Allah. I haven't developed a relationship with the one that alone is enough for me and sufficient for me. I haven't drawn closer to Allah. I'm more close to my children. I'm more close to my business. I'm more close to this world. I'm still worshipping Satan. I'm in this. Your behaviors will tell you, if you're controlled by the things of this world, money, cigarettes, anything, if your life is not working out, if things are getting bad to us, if there's no peace in your life, if there's people upsetting you, if things are upsetting you, if you're worried, if you're fearful, become aware that your heart is diseased, and Allah will not change a condition of a people until they change what is in their heart. So don't try and change yourself, and don't try and change anybody else. Don't try to change the world, because it's Allah who changes us, and Allah changes other people, and Allah changes the world when we first change what is in our hearts, when we make our primary aspiration to bring to Allah a purified heart. Now it's a change in your attitude. When you realize I've been in error all these years, but Allah is the merciful and the compassionate. Instead of me trying to act better than I am, I admit the truth. I don't know Allah. I want to know Allah. When I remember Allah, I want to experience assurance. I want to feel the tranquility that is in my heart as my faith is increasing. You know what I mean? I'm not feeling that. You've got to admit that. I'm spiritually diseased. I have to go through a spiritual development process to emerge on the other side. I must speak the truth about where I am. I must admit I haven't remembered. I'm still insecure. I want to become secure, the believer. You must admit that. If you don't admit that, then that's that. And people are afraid to admit it. This is why people are committing so much of sin against Allah, against themselves, against their bodies, against their lives, against the people around them. It's rampant. From what I've been hearing, the situation is in a worse way than I thought. I spoke to a professor this morning who's telling me, I think we got about 8 to 15 years, if not sooner, before violence in this country erupts because of various factors. Please come and speak to my people. I'm having a meeting with industry. Please, I want you to come. There's trouble in the world. I want you, he told me. I said to him, I'm thankful that there are people who are thinking long term for our children and our grandchildren and their children. Because it's not people, this is going bad, fast. But anyways, for me to bring to Allah a purified heart. Allah knows what's happening. He's in control of everything. His rules always apply. His laws always apply. Allah is powerful for all things. Allah, the will of God is always done. So those of us who turn towards Him in this difficult time will experience being protected, will experience being progressed, will experience being prospered in this world and the world beyond. The others are just gone into the Jal system. They've just gone into the Jal system. It's got nothing to do with me. So shukr to Allah. All praise, glory and thanks is due to Allah Almighty. His choicest blessings upon our beloved Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.